brand new Boeing 767.
Fuel pressure? Why would that be?
How come I have no instruments?
A catastrophic failure at 26,000 feet.
Winnipeg, Air Canada 143.
Air Canada 143, go ahead.
Just lost both engines.
Holy cow!
I'm talking to a dead man. How far are we from Gimli?
You're approximately 12 miles from Gimli right now.
I guess I'll just slip it.
The crew is out of options and running out of time. वो कंट्रोल पे है 95 टन जेट के, जो कि अब धीरे धीरे आसमान से नीचे गिर रहा है। नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं हूँ आपका दोस्त, आपका होस्ट बामरी, लेकर के आया हूँ एक नया एपिसोड आपके फेवरेट शो दुर्घटनाएं डिजास्टर्स का। ये शो जो आप हर हफ्ते सुनते हैं आपके फेवरेट इंटरनेट रेडियो स्टेशन रेडियो उड़ान पे, जो कि है अ फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ। और इस शो में हम चर्चा करते हैं हर हफ्ते किसी न किसी दुर्घटना, किसी न किसी डिजास्टर की जो घटित हुई थी इस धरती पे। और आज के शो में हम चर्चा करेंगे एयर कनाडा की फ्लाइट, जो कि एक ग्लाइडर बन गई थी। इन प्लासिड स्काई ओवर सेंट्रल कनाडा, एयर कनाडा की फ्लाइट 143 इज ऑन इट्स हाफ वे जर्नी फ्रॉम मॉन्ट्रियल टू एडमंटन, अल्बर्टा।
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first officer.
उस 23 जुलाई 1983 के दिन प्लेन में 69 मेंबर्स हैं, जिसमें से कि 61 पैसेंजर्स हैं और 8 क्रू मेंबर हैं।
Beautiful day. Clear temperature of 24 degrees Celsius.
Hey, that's kind of long, huh?
रिक डियोन जो है एयर कनाडा के मेंटेनेंस इंजीनियर हैं।
I was going to Edmonton with my wife Pearl and my young son Chris, who was 4 years old, and this was the beginning of a 2-week vacation for us, and we were all pretty excited about going on this new airplane.
Compliment of the captain.
Oh, hey, Rob, thanks.
Whenever you want to come up to the flight deck.
This was my first flight on a modern 767, as the company had just acquired them.
I'll be back in a minute, okay?
I was interested in going to the cockpit to see all this new technology fit in with the work that I did on aircraft.
जो कैप्टन है इस फ्लाइट में, उनका नाम है बॉब पियर्सन, जो कि 48 साल के हैं और उनको 15,000 घंटों का एक्सपीरियंस है हवा में उड़ने का। उनके फर्स्ट ऑफिसर हैं मॉरिस किंटेल, जिनको कि 7,000 से ज्यादा घंटे उड़ाने का एक्सपीरियंस है प्लेन।
Come on in. Pardon me, gentlemen? Rick.
I knew Bob Pearson from the small flying club that I attended in St. Lazare, and he was actually one of the local pilots there that used to do some gliding, and he also flew the ultralight lasers.
We had departed heading northwest, a nice clear sunny day in July. We're flight plan at 39,000 feet. There were few airplanes that flew that high in 1983. And we requested 41,000 feet, which got us further above the jet stream out of the west.
जो फ्लाइट क्रू था उनके पास बहुत एक्सपीरियंस तो था, लेकिन इस प्लेन में उड़ाने का उनके पास ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस नहीं था, क्योंकि ये जो था नया ही प्लेन आया था। बोइंग का सबसे लेटेस्ट मॉडल था 767। An army of microprocessors in the belly of the plane इतने काम करते थे कि जिसकी वजह से फ्लाइट इंजीनियर का तो बिल्कुल छुट्टी ही कर दी थी उन्होंने इस प्लेन में। एयर कनाडा ने जो 767 विमान अभी रिसेंटली एक्वायर किए थे, 4 एक्वायर किए थे, उनमें से ये एक था। प्लेन के अंदर सिर्फ 150 आवर्स ही हुए थे इस प्लेन को अभी।
Quite a difference here, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Reset on and start here.
The cockpit is different in that all the old instrumentation that we're accustomed to, mostly that was all gone. It was all CRT display, like small TV screens. It was a new high-tech airplane, which involved quite a change for the crew and the maintenance personnel, people handling it.
This is a new aircraft for both the captain and I. At the time, I had 75 hours on that airplane, so everything was new for me.
Pilots and maintenance crews are still getting more on this plane.
Well, then we get that same condition.
कैप्टन पियर्सन जो है डियोन को बताते हैं कि उन्होंने पिछली फ्लाइट में कैसे एक छोटी सी प्रॉब्लम हैंडल करी थी which occurred in the engine.
Comes back down to low stage and we just carry on.
You know, that brings up an interesting...
Fuel pressure. Why would that be?
Whoa.
वार्निंग जो आई थी उनको वो बताती है कि एक फ्यूल पंप में बहुत ही क्रिटिकली लो प्रेशर आ रहा है फ्यूल का.
Something's wrong with the fuel pump.
इस जहाज 767 में 3 मेन फ्यूल टैंक्स थे, जिसमें से कि 2 तो जो है वो विंग्स के ऊपर थे जो कि हमेशा यूज करे जाते थे, और एक जो था सेंटर में था जो कि सिर्फ लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस फ्लाइट्स में यूज किया जाता था. जो इलेक्ट्रिकल फ्यूल पंप्स थे वो दे ड्रॉ फ्यूल फ्रॉम बोथ द टैंक्स एंड गिव इट टू द 2 इंजन्स. जो ये वार्निंग आई थी उसका ये मतलब भी हो सकता है कि वन ऑफ द पंप्स नीड सम मेंटेनेंस, और एक बहुत ही सीरियस इशू भी हो सकता है इस वार्निंग के आने का, वो था लो फ्यूल विच इज फीडिंग टू द पंप्स इंजन.
That forward fuel pump. It's just a bloody pump failing, I can tell you that.
और उसके ठीक से कुछ सेकंड के बाद एक और फ्यूल वार्निंग आ जाती है, और वो आ रही थी फ्रॉम द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड के फ्यूल पंप से. पीएससी फ्लाइट मैनेजमेंट कंप्यूटर टेल्स कि उनके पास इस जर्नी के लिए काफी फ्यूल होना चाहिए था, लेकिन उनको वार्निंग भी दोनों साइड के पंप से मिल रही थी. बोइंग 767 के पास अपने इंडिविजुअल डिजिटल फ्यूल गेजेस भी होते हैं, लेकिन इस फ्लाइट के लिए दे वर आउट ऑफ सर्विस. पायलट्स को जो वार्निंग मिल रही थी उनका कोई सेंस नहीं बन रहा था.
Got a little more interesting when the second fuel boost pump light came on for that tank, which was the left tank.
This seemed quite abnormal that 2 pumps would fail in a brand new airplane. We had some kind of a problem that we didn't understand.
What would your assessment of that be?
My own personal thoughts? You might be low in the left tank.
I used to be involved with transferring fuel, and I know that when you're trying to empty a tank, it'll start flashing periodically, and then the pump will reprime, and then the light will go out. In this case, it appeared to do exactly the same thing.
कैप्टन पियर्सन ये बात जानते हैं कि अगर लेफ्ट टैंक इज रनिंग लो, ये भी चांसेस हो सकते हैं कि द राइट टैंक वुड आल्सो बी रनिंग लो.
Let's head for Winnipeg.
अब पियर्सन अब जल्दी से जल्दी लैंड करना चाहते हैं कि अगर वो वाकई में दे आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ फ्यूल. क्रू जो है अभी भी 700 मील दूर है उनकी ओरिजिनल डेस्टिनेशन से, जो कि थी एडमंटन अल्बर्टा में. जो नियरेस्ट एयरपोर्ट है वो है विनीपेग में, जो कि 120 मील की दूरी पे है.
We're showing lots of fuel on board our flight management computer and 3 normal fuel checks cross-checked with our fuel on our flight plan. So we elected to divert the flight to Winnipeg, where Air Canada has a main maintenance base.
Winnipeg Center.
Air Canada 143.
Air Canada 143, go ahead.
रॉन श्रूएट जो है उनको 20 साल का तजुर्बा है एज अ रेडर कंट्रोलर.
Yes, sir, we have a problem.
We're going to requesting direct Winnipeg.
Air Canada 143 cleared. Take position, direct Winnipeg. You are cleared to maintain 6,000. Descent, your discretion.
Send to 6,000 his discretion, and that was it. He didn't tell us what the problem was, and it's none of my business. Give him what he wants, get everybody out of his way. That's about what we do.
Okay, we're out of 410.
पियर्सन अब डिसेंड करना शुरू करते हैं फ्रॉम 41,000 फीट से.
Oh man, we're all going out, eh?
जो लो प्रेशर वार्निंग्स है दे आर स्प्रेडिंग टू मोर एंड मोर फ्यूल पंप्स.
Hello.
Cabin, we think we have problems with our fuel system.
We are diverting to Winnipeg.
All flight attendants to front galley, please.
I hope this is just false warnings. Rick, can you think of anything we haven't done?
No, I can't, Bob.
Okay. We've lost the left engine.
Kintel instructs the cabin crew to prepare for an emergency landing. Losing an engine erases any doubt.
Okay, checklist. Single engine landing.
Air Canada की फ्लाइट 143 वाकई में ही it is running out of fuel. एक इंजन पे लैंड करना बोइंग 7667 पियर्सन ऐसा कर चुके हैं पहले भी, लेकिन बगैर इंजन के किसी ने भी आज तक ये कोशिश नहीं करी थी कि बोइंग 767 को लैंड कर पाए जमीन पे. He scrambles to get his plane down so that he does not become the first person to do so. With only one engine powering the Air Canada Flight 143 and the possibility of the other engine running out, Captain Pearson जो है passengers को land कराने के लिए he prepares them for the worst. The crew also prepares the passenger for the worst.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your in-charge flight attendant speaking. Due to mechanical problems, we'll be preparing for an emergency landing. Please return to your seats and fasten your seat belts. Your crew is fully trained to deal with this situation, and as you may have noticed, some crew members have already started to prepare the aircraft.
I had no idea, like the rest of my crew members, that there was a problem with fuel. I had no idea why we were going to Winnipeg.
Approach and landing. Flaps will be 20. Right. Ground flap override.
As they're doing that drill, the right-hand fuel pump low pressure light was flashing as well, much like it did on the left. They were quite busy carrying out the first engine out, not watching the pump lights, which was right at my eyebrow, so I kind of knew that that one there was going to shut down too.
What was that?
Very shortly, we will begin giving you instructions.
How come I have no instruments?
Our beautiful colored engine and flight instrument displays simply went black.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. Please follow our instructions. Refrain from smoking and put your chair back in the upright position. Secure your seatbelt tightly against your hip.
ये वही था जिसके लिए पियर्सन को डर लग रहा था. अब उनके दोनों इंजन ने ही काम करना बंद कर दिया था. अभी भी वो 26,500 फीट की ऊंचाई पर उड़ रहे हैं और नियरेस्ट मेजर एयरपोर्ट से वो तकरीबन 75 मील दूर हैं और he has run out of fuel.
Winnipeg, Air Canada 143.
Air Canada 143, go ahead.
Just lost both engines.
When both engines shut off, I think he said, "Holy, I'm talking to a dead man."
We were trained in the simulator to handle a single engine failure. We had never practiced, and I don't believe most pilots ever get the chance to practice total engine failures.
143 just lost their engines.
It's highly unlikely that anybody's going to survive this, because I could see them trying to make a turn and spinning in.
प्लेन के जो इंजन होते हैं वो खाली थ्रस्ट ही नहीं प्रोवाइड करते. दे प्रोवाइड पावर टू मैनिपुलेट द इंजन, मैनिपुलेट द प्लेन रादर. अब जो है प्लेन को कंट्रोल करना भी मुश्किल हो जाएगा, लेकिन जो मॉडर्न एयरलाइनर्स होते हैं दे आर लाइक अ स्विस आर्मी नाइफ व्हिच हैज गॉट वन ब्लेड टक्ड अवे समवेयर इन द कॉर्नर. और पावर के एब्सेंस में वो दे ऑटोमेटिकली डिप्लॉय अ रैट और रैम एयर टर्बाइन.
It's spring-loaded, and the propeller that drives this small hydraulic pump is about the size of a propeller you would see like on a little Cessna 150. And this arm catapults down into the slipstream. This propeller starts to turn, drives this hydraulic pump, and it gives you basic systems.
I was pretty quiet flying without motors.
पियर्सन जानते हैं कि द टाइम इज रनिंग आउट, He needs direction for the nearest landing strip.
143, this is a mayday, and we require a vector on to the closest available runway.
143, we copy that all okay.
But the loss of the engines has created an unexpected scenario at the air traffic control.
They're gone. They were right here. We've lost him. He's dropped off the screen. I need primary radar. Uh, 143, we've lost your transponder return and are attempting to pick up your target now.
We work on transponder, it's called secondary radar. We take the pilot signal to paint the aircraft.
Commercial airliners are equipped with a transponder, एक ऐसा device which transmits coded information which the air traffic controllers use to find out the location of the plane. और जब फ्लाइट 143 ने अपना दूसरा इंजन खोया था, तब बहुत कम ही इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के पास बैकअप पावर आई थी. But the transponder was not one of them, and इसके कारण ये हुआ था कि plane had disappeared from the air traffic controller screen. सब लोग यही जानते हैं कि फ्लाइट 143 विनीपेग से पूर्व दिशा में है, लेकिन कहाँ है और कितनी दूरी पे है, इस बात का किसी को भी पता नहीं था. इतना भारी भरकम शरीर होने के बावजूद भी जो बोइंग 767 है, वो आसमान से एकदम नीचे की तरफ नहीं गिरता पावर लूज करने के बाद. जो उसकी एरोडायनामिक प्रॉपर्टीज होती हैं, it keeps the plane in the air and it slowly coasts down towards the earth.
And I was trying to figure how many miles we were moving ahead versus how many thousands of feet we were dropping.
But Kentel does not have the instruments to help him calculate the information which he requires. Since the time he has lost the engines, Hewitt also cannot tell Kentel the information he requires. Controllers अब उस plane की location जानने के लिए जो भी possible है वो कर रहे हैं.
Just before landing, you will hear the command, brace for landing. Brace immediately and stay braced until the plane comes to a complete stop. There are two ways to brace. One, bend forward. Raise your arms and hands against the seat back.
Bryce Bell जो है एक businessman है और वो अपने घर जा रहे हैं एडमिंटन पे.
As soon as they announced that we were making an unscheduled stop in Winnipeg, I immediately wished I hadn't had the 2 drinks that I'd had, because I thought, you're going to have a split second here, and this plane's going to explode in flame, and the decision you make in that split second will depend on how alert you are.
Okay, please put your personal belongings in the seat back pocket.
The response of the passengers when we were doing the emergency briefing was basically alert. They were looking at us. They were paying attention to every word we were saying. I couldn't have had better passengers.
I think that's him. Let's say that's him.
उनका मॉडर्न इक्विपमेंट जो था उनकी हेल्प नहीं कर पा रहा था एयर ट्रैफिक कंट्रोलर की, जिससे कि प्लेन की लोकेशन जान सके. तो वो अपना पुराना मेथड जो पुराने जमाने में चला करता था, उसकी वजह से उसकी हेल्प से वो प्लेन को लोकेट करते हैं. जो और ये सिस्टम जो था ट्रांसपॉन्डर के बिना ही काम करता था.
I got to turn up my true radar, the reflective radar, which is not nearly as good, and we don't use it at all if we can help it.
Okay, I got it. 65 from Winnipeg, 45 from Gimli. 143. We have you at 65 miles from Winnipeg and approximately 45 miles from Gimli.
पहली बार इंजन लूज करने के बाद पायलट्स को अब ये पता है कि उनके और विनीपेग के बीच में कितना डिस्टेंस रह गया है.
We might make Winnipeg.
केंटेल को ऐसा लगता है कि गिमली इज अ सेफर बेट बिटवीन द टू डेस्टिनेशंस. Gimli, Manitoba has a decommissioned air base and it is 20 miles shorter than Winnipeg. और as luck would have it, मॉरिस जो थे वो उन्होंने इस एयरबेस के ऊपर काम भी किया था जब वो आर्म्ड फोर्सेस में थे, and he knew the airport very well.
45 miles to Gimli. That is a long runway.
Is there emergency equipment at Gimli?
Negative emergency equipment at all. Just one runway available, I believe. And no control tower and no information on it.
Pearson must consider the possibility of a crash landing. और उन्हें अगर अपना जहाज विनीपेग पे उतारना है जहाँ की पूरा इमरजेंसी सिस्टम है तो उनको ये चांस लेना ही पड़ेगा and he must go for Winnipeg.
Okay, then we would prefer Winnipeg.
Fine. 143, continue your present heading.
We all reacted very businesslike and say something specifically to the situation, but never would we ever look at each other. I think we were all afraid that we might break down.
Parents were hugging their little kids, and people were busy scribbling away, which I found out afterwards where they were writing their notes to loved ones and their wills and all kinds of things like that. It was pretty nerve-wracking.
143, a question if you have the time.
Okay, go ahead.
Total number of persons on board, please.
Total number of people on board this flight is 69, but Quintal जो कि already tension में लग रहे थे, उन्होंने बहुत ही कम figure दी. उन्होंने बताया सिर्फ 33 लोग हैं इस plane पे सवार.
I have 33 people on board,
Including the crew.
Okay.
I have to ask if Soul's on board. I know he's busy. I don't want to ask him questions, but I have to. This thing can go down in the lake or the field. And I remember thinking, great. I know this airplane carries about 300 people. At least it's not 300.
It was about regrets. It was about things I hadn't done in my life. It was about ways I've treated the odd person here or there that I wish I'd treated more gently. It was about how stupid I was at some of the things I used to make big issues out of that are so insignificant when it really comes down to what real reality is about. It was pretty devastating.
And I remember telling a mother with a baby, and I had my daughter Victoria, and telling this woman that it was going to be okay. And I did it. I was so proud of myself that I could be so straight with her and tell her that it was going to be all right and really look at her in the eyes.
Okay, and how far from the field are we now?
You're 35, correction, make that 39 miles from Winnipeg.
Roger.
अब जो कि एयर ट्रैफिक कंट्रोलर इस फ्लाइट को अपने रेडार में देख पा रहे थे तो वो इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड कर रहे थे.
Roger, what is your altitude now?
8.5.
8.5.
जिससे कि पायलट्स जो है विनीपेग तक अपने प्लेन को ग्लाइड करके ले जा सके. About 8,500 feet in the air, Captain Pearson can see his destination.
We're visual.
Winnipeg's airport is less than 35 miles from them, but the news from Quintal is not good.
Bob.
Morris was calmly keeping track of our distance by input from Winnipeg Air Traffic Control and our altitude, and calculated our profile and came to the conclusion that we might not make the runway in Winnipeg.
We can last maybe another 20 miles. We're not going to make Winnipeg.
Quintal ये कैलकुलेट करते हैं कि जिस स्पीड से वो नीचे की तरफ गिर रहे हैं, उनका प्लेन will crash 15 miles shorter than the runway at Winnipeg.
How far are we from Gimli?
You're approximately 12 miles from Gimli right now.
Where is it?
Which way is he moving? On your right. Turn right to a heading of 345. I would say you have 10 miles to fly.
Okay, fine. We're gonna go there.
I'm gonna go check on my family. You guys don't need me up here right now, huh?
No, we're okay.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. They got it under control. Just make sure your seatbelts are tight, all right?
When I went finally to sit down in my seat, this is where I thought, wow, this is it.
Landing gear down.
Roger.
First officer Quintal lowers the landing gear. क्योंकि उनके पास कोई हाइड्रोलिक पावर नहीं है, Quintal uses the gravity drop, जिसका ये मतलब होता है कि the weight of the landing gear अपने आप उसके नीचे गिरा के लॉक कर देता है in position. जो landing gear है, it is heavy and it automatically drops and locks in position. उसके बाद दो green light भी जल जाती हैं, which indicates that the landing gear is all locked up in position. दूसरी तरफ जो nose gear होता है वो it is very lighter and it does not drop on its own.
We could hear the main gear clearly falling and locking. I was not aware that the nose gear was not down and locked.
It was sort of a last minute, and if it's something that you cannot control, you don't talk about it, you don't mention it, The main thing was bring the aircraft on the runway.
5 miles to touchdown.
Roger. We have the field in sight.
5 मील की दूरी पे किंटल और पियर्सन को अब एक लैंडिंग स्ट्रिप दिख जाती है जिसपे कि वो अपना प्लेन उतार सकते हैं, पर उनके सामने एक प्रॉब्लम आके खड़ी हो जाती है.
We're too close, huh? It's going to be too steep, too fast.
Yeah, I know.
पियर्सन अब एक रनवे के करीब पहुंच जाते हैं, लेकिन वो बहुत ऊंचे हैं उस रनवे के लिए, और अगर वो नीचे आते हैं एट द नॉर्मल डिसेंट रेट तो ही विल मिस दिस रनवे, और अगर वो तेजी से नीचे आते हैं तो उनका प्लेन इतनी स्पीड गैदर कर लेगा कि वो रनवे खत्म होने तक भी उसे रोक नहीं पाएंगे अपने जहाज को.
The normal approach, we have leading edge and trailing edge flaps which allow us to slow the airplane down and fly at a slower speed safely. We did not have those flaps as they run off the main hydraulic system.
So what are we going to do? So we discussed, we had two possibilities. One of them was to do a 360-degree turn and lose the excess of altitude. On the other hand, I thought it would take about 3 minutes, and we were already descending at the rate of 2,500 feet a minute.
क्योंकि प्लेन अब सिर्फ 3,000 फीट की ऊंचाई पर उड़ रहा है, तो उसके पास इतने समय ही नहीं होगा इतना समय और इतना एल्टीट्यूड नहीं होगा to make a 360-degree turn. It would hit the ground before making it back to the landing strip. Pearson chooses a second option.
Well, I guess I'll just slip it.
Pearson decides to do a maneuver called the side slip. ये जो maneuver है, it is unheard of in the commercial airlines circle, but this is very much used by the glider pilots. And Bob Pearson has a lot of experience flying gliders.
I'm just going to slip it down till we're almost down at the runway, then I'll straighten it out. Okay.
Side slip, it sometimes is called as crossing the controls.
Here we go.
Pearson plans to force the aircraft into a sideways free fall, letting it fall quickly without increasing its forward air speed. Pearson जो है उन्होंने कभी ग्लाइडर में भी ये मैनूवर को ट्राई नहीं किया था, और अब वो ट्राई कर रहे थे this maneuver on the Boeing 767.
The only way that I could control our speed and our descent profile with the runway was to induce drag in the fuselage by cross-controlling the rudder and the elevators on the tail and the ailerons and the wingtips, and cause the aircraft into a crab configuration. Then I could vary that to increase or decrease our speed or increase or decrease our descent rate.
Pearson जो है एयरप्लेन की डिसेंट जो है उसको कंट्रोल करते हैं by using the rudder and the ailerons. और इस मैनूवर से क्या होता है, the angle of the plane is changed. Crossing the controls involves tipping the wings in one direction and turning the aircraft in the opposite direction, pushing it sideways in the oncoming air. As Flight 143 continues to drop towards the Earth, किंटेल एक ऐसी चीज डिस्कवर करेंगे जिनके बारे में उन्होंने सोचा नहीं था। किंटेल जिन्होंने 15 साल पहले इस एयरपोर्ट पे काम किया था, अब वो रनवे उनका वो स्ट्रिप है ही नहीं। कैप्टन बॉब पियर्सन इज आउट ऑफ फ्यूल, out of engines and out of options. If he can't line up with the runway at Gimli, उनको एक दूसरा मौका नहीं मिलेगा। पियर्सन जो है योक को लेफ्ट हैंड साइड की तरफ टर्न करते हैं और रडर्स को राइट हैंड साइड, और if the plane slips to its left.
We're sitting in the center, which is the heart of the airplane where it starts, so it's pretty solid there. I thought there's a real good chance here that we'll be all right. However, when he put the airplane into a side slip, all that went out the window because I figured, oh, if he hits a wing or something and starts to catapult and roll, that's not going to work anymore.
The 767 loses altitude quickly.
When I looked to the left of the aircraft, I was looking directly at the ground because the airplane is angled quite, well, about maybe 60 degrees of banks. The bank angle was quite high and the nose of the aircraft was quite high. It was an awkward moment, and if it was awkward for me, I can imagine for the passengers, it must really have felt odd.
I saw a sand trap from this golf course, and I thought, we're going to crash.
पियर्सन को जो है उनको एक बहुत ही क्रूशियल बैलेंस बना के चलना पड़ रहा था यहाँ पे। He has got to slow the plane enough to land safely, और अगर वो ज्यादा स्लो डाउन हो जाते हैं, the plane will lose its lift and plummet down on the earth.
When a pilot is normally landing an airplane, he's maneuvering the flight controls and operating the thrust levers pretty continuously on most landings. And so I was doing the same thing without the thrust levers.
This is where I thought of my daughter Victoria being alone with my husband, and how he was going to cope with our daughter, and how she was going to cope without having a mom.
As they approach, Pearson concentrates on the threshold of the runway, जो कि उनका टारगेट था।
I got tunnel vision like I've never had it before. It was just our speed and our relationship with the threshold of the runway.
अब जमीन से सिर्फ 100 फीट ऊपर जो है, किंटेल ये जानते हैं कि their troubles are far from over. The Gimli landing strip has been converted into a drag racing strip. और आज शनिवार है, ना ही ये सिर्फ ड्रैग रेसिंग डे है बल्कि एक फैमिली डे भी है ऑन द गिमली एयर स्ट्रिप। आज के दिन की रेसिंग जो है वो कंप्लीट हो चुकी है, बट मेंबर्स ऑफ द लोकल स्पोर्ट्स कार क्लब आर स्टिल देयर ऑन द स्ट्रिप, कैंपिंग आउट विद देयर फैमिलीज ऑन अ वीकेंड। 2 बच्चे जो हैं वो इस रनवे पे साइकिल चला रहे हैं। They don't hear the plane coming for them, क्योंकि उसमें इंजन्स नहीं है, पावर नहीं है, तो सब बहुत ही शांत रूप से चल रहा है। अब एक चीज जो 767 के पास नहीं है वो है उसका हॉर्न।
Brace for landing.
The nose hit with quite a bang on the runway. It sounded like a shotgun going off at our feet.
The front landing gear gives out immediately. पियर्सन जो है बहुत जबरदस्त ब्रेक लगाते हैं, उसका अंजाम ये होता है कि 2 टायर फट जाते हैं बिल्कुल। The bottom of the right engine scraps the runway.
I was a robot. There was just no emotion at all.
Finally, Pearson sees what is there in their path.
And I looked up and I could see 2 boys on bicycles. They must have been probably about 1,000 feet down the runway from our position when I saw them.
And then at one point, I can see he raised his head, and he's surprised. Here's this big aircraft.
I can still remember the look of terror on their faces. So they were close enough for me to see that.
With no nose gear to steer with, Pearson's only hope of driving the plane left or right is with the varying the brake pressure on the two main landing gear.
That's when my heart started to pitter-patter a little bit.
जो दोनों बच्चे हैं वो एकदम पैनिक में आ जाते हैं and they want to outrun this plane which is driving at more than 200 miles per hour.
I knew I couldn't take the airplane into these boys, and I was going to take it off into the grass on the right side. There were campers along the west side of the runway that I didn't notice until after we'd touched down, and the nose was on the ground, and I can still remember out the left side, people standing by their barbecues.
Dino Calvert जो है वो he's at the track with his friends for racing.
One of the gentlemen in the pits suddenly jumped in his car and he took off, and I thought, well, you don't drive like that in the pits usually. And I looked up and all I could see was smoke rising.
Pearson सब कुछ करते हैं जो कि वो कर सकते थे to stop the plane.
Holy crow!
जो plane had ploughed on into a guardrail जो कि runway के बीच में लगाई गई थी.
Smoke, Bob.
मिनट after losing the power, Air Canada की flight 143 अब finally ground पे रुक चुकी थी.
Yeah? You okay?
Somebody yelled, Yahoo or something, and then people started applauding. And we were so grateful. We made it. When you believe that you're going to crash, you do believe that the airplane is going to break apart, you're going to have fire.
Evacuate! Evacuate!
Evacuate! All right, let's go. We got to get off.
जो धुआं है वो जल्दी से केबिन में बढ़ता जा रहा है और केबिन क्रू कोई भी चांस नहीं ले रहे हैं. They want everybody out of this plane as quickly as possible.
There was a sense of joy, and then a panic kind of, it seemed to go in waves, and then a panic saying, we got to get out of here, we got to get out of here.
2 महीने से कम टाइम से पहले एक एयर कनाडा की DC-9 एयरक्राफ्ट जो है उसने एक इमरजेंसी लैंडिंग करी थी सिंसिनाटी एयरपोर्ट पे, और उससे पहले कि सारे पैसेंजर्स उस प्लेन से निकाले जा सके, द प्लेन हैड बर्स्ट इनटू फ्लेम्स वाइड ऑन द टारमैक और 23 लोग की मौत हो गई थी उस हादसे में. जो पैसेंजर्स हैं और जो क्रू है इस फ्लाइट का, दे वांट टू अवॉइड दैट अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट.
It took maybe just a few seconds to come up to a full halt on the runway, but the cockpit was full of smoke.
Passenger evacuation checklist.
Passenger checklist.
Fuel shut off.
Off. Cabin depressurized.
Electrics off.
Electrics off.
Checklist complete.
Time to get out of here.
Come on, guys, get some fire extinguishers.
We grabbed the fire extinguishers on our way, and you never go to a fire at a racetrack without having a fire extinguisher with you. And we ran up towards it. The doors open up, and you see the chutes come out, sort of like a spider growing legs.
The plane ended up eventually standing almost what appeared to me to be almost on its nose.
When I opened my door and I saw that the chute was so steep, I thought, oh my goodness, how do I get these passengers to go down?
Due to the nose down angle of the plane, जो पिछले भाग में chutes थे, they don't go up to the ground. 10 लोगों को मामूली चोटें आई थी evacuation के दौरान, and most of them came down from the rear steep slides.
I heard on the west radar frequency, he said, one of the 767 says, he's down okay, he's in one piece, and that's when our cheer went up. I said, okay, because all of these people were going to sleep in their own bed that night.
अभी भी बहुत सारा धुआं निकल रहा है from the plane's nose.
Turned out it was about 6 inches of insulation between the inner and outer skins. From friction, that was starting to burn.
जो केबिन क्रू था उनके लिए अच्छी खबर थी कि जो इतने भी 61 सवारी इस प्लेन पे सवार थे, पैसेंजर्स जो थे 61 पैसेंजर्स, वो सब आराम से जमीन पे पहुंच गए हैं सारे के सारे।
Come give you a hand. Yeah, extinguisher.
बॉब पियर्सन ने वो करके दिखाया जिसका कि आज तक किसी ने भी नहीं किया था, ऑफ लैंडिंग द बोइंग 767 विदाउट इट्स इंजन्स, और 26,500 फीट की ऊंचाई से वो प्लेन को नीचे ग्लाइड करते हुए ले आए थे।
Air Canada Flight 143 glided.
This incident made international headlines और सबकी जुबान पे एक ही प्रश्न था कि किस तरह से एकदम मॉडर्न एयरक्राफ्ट कैन रन आउट ऑफ फ्यूल।
Down emergency chutes.
By next day, the investigation had already begun. Bill Taylor और Diane Rocheleau of Canada's Aviation Safety Bureau were among the first to arrive at this scene.
I was a junior mechanical engineering at the time. I had been working for Transport Canada for a year. Going to the field for the first time was very exciting. It was new. It was a major aircraft.
Once we got into the fuel quantity indicating system, I actually left Diane to deal with the specifics of the computer system.
सबसे पहले बिल टेलर को ये कंफर्म करना है, जो कि सारे लोग बोल रहे हैं कि इस फ्लाइट में फ्यूल नहीं है। इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स जो हैं, they drained the tank and collecting less than 17 gallons of fuel. और Boeing 767 ये जो जहाज है, it can hold up to 24,000 gallons of fuel. और ये इस तरह से लग रहा है कि आपके पास 5 टेबलस्पून ऑफ फ्यूल हो इन अ मिड साइज्ड कार। टेलर को अब एक दूसरी पॉसिबिलिटी चेक करनी है कि हो सकता है फ्लाइट के दौरान ही फ्यूल लीक आउट हो गया हो।
The other checks involved looking for any evidence of fuel having been lost. They even went so far as to go into what they call the dry bay of the aircraft. I'm a bit claustrophobic, so I really wasn't too enthused about going up in there, but I crawled up and had a look around with a flashlight and confirmed that there was no evidence of fuel having been lost in there.
और अब टेलर के पास सिर्फ एक ही ऑप्शन बच जाता है, और वो है कि फ्लाइट 143 जब उड़ी थी तो इट डिड नॉट हैव एनफ फ्यूल। और ये अब इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स पता करना चाहते हैं कि क्यों ऐसा हुआ। डैन जो है इस सवाल का जवाब ढूंढ रही है इन द प्लेन्स sophisticated electronic bay, and it is located beneath the cabin.
The 767 was a newer type aircraft, and it did have a lot of computerized system, and I guess back in 1982, these were coming onto the market at a fast rate, and they were newer types of electronic system.
डैन इस बात की कंफर्मेशन करती हैं कि प्लेन का जो डिजिटल फ्यूल गेज प्रोसेसर है, that has been malfunctioning on this flight. मॉन्ट्रियल में कोई स्पेयर नहीं था, तो it could not be changed. डैन जो है इस कंपोनेंट को टेस्टिंग के लिए ले जाती हैं।
It was decided early on that the unit, the fuel processing unit, would be taken to the manufacturer Honeywell in Indianapolis for testing. And I was tasked with taking the unit. So we went through all the testing procedure. And then at one point, we did discover that there was a malfunction with the unit. During the testing, we went more and more in depth, and we found out that one of the circuit, it's called an inductor coil. It was a very, very small part, and it was encapsulated at manufacture, and encapsulated means it's covered with plastic. You cannot visually see it because it's now covered with plastic, and you can't see the inductor coil itself. But once we took over the plastic case, we could see that the solder joint had not been made properly, which caused a malfunction in the system.
A faulty processor tells us why Pearson did not have these gauges for the flight. लेकिन इस बात का जवाब नहीं देता कि उसके पास enough fuel क्यों नहीं था. The inoperative gauges had been flagged. और ग्राउंड क्रू जो है उन्होंने इन बातों पे इन पे रिलाई नहीं किया होगा जब वो प्लेन में फ्यूल भर रहे होंगे. इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स इस बात का कंफर्मेशन देते हैं कि ग्राउंड क्रू ने मैनुअल चेक किया था ऑन द अमाउंट ऑफ फ्यूल दे हैव बिफोर टेक ऑफ.
We just need to know what you did next.
Yeah? We did a manual check of both tanks. And then we pump enough fuel for the trip to Edmonton.
Flight 143 should have taken up with enough fuel for the flight.
Okay, thanks. That helps.
Investigators now have to figure out how the world's most sophisticated airlines took off by taking only half the fuel which would have been required for the journey. Investigators को ये बात तो पता है कि उसके डिजिटल फ्यूल गेजेस आउट ऑफ सर्विस थे, तो इसलिए ग्राउंड क्रू ने जो है मैनुअली चेक किया होगा फ्यूल का प्रेशर, फ्यूल का लेवल, और उसके बाद फ्यूल रिक्वायर्ड फॉर गोइंग टू एडमंटन वाज एडेड टू द टैंक्स. But before the fuel could have been given to the jet, a crucial calculation was supposed to be worked out. Pilots need to know the weight of the fuel on their plane. But fuel trucks pump jet fuel by volume. In order for the pilots and fuelers to communicate, a simple routine translation has to be made between the volume and weight.
Thank you.
इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स चेक करते हैं इस कैलकुलेशन को और रीचेक करते हैं इस कैलकुलेशन को. The fueling records from the day of the accident provide the answers which they have been looking for.
This is a typical fueling record.
और जब इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स ने इन कैलकुलेशंस को चेक किया फ्रॉम फ्लाइट 143 तो कुछ अलग ही फिगर उनके सामने आई.
And this is from flight 143.
The investigators get the figures which about the fuel which is there in the left and the right hand side tanks. But investigators are troubled by two numbers. One converts the volume into kilograms and the other converts it into pounds.
He shouldn't have been using both. So did you convert to pounds or to kilograms?
To pound? Oh, to kilo. Excuse me, can I see that again?
Further interviews with the technicians and the crew relieve the scenario on flight 143.
And now I don't know what I did.
Work caused by human error in wrong calculations and inadequate training.
Okay, fellas, we've finished with the fuel.
The technicians refueling the flight 143 got muddled up in their calculations about the volume of the fuel coming out of the fuel tanks to the weight of the fuel in the tanks. No one who noticed this calculation that day noticed a basic fault. In 1983, the technicians said those who used to fuel these trunks, they were used to calculations in pounds. And Boeing 767 was the first plane in Air Canada's fleet which used the metric system. उनका fuel जो चाहिए था, it was not required in pounds but in kilograms, और जिसके लिए कि एक अलग सी कैलकुलेशन होती है. फ्लाइट 143 को जरूरत थी 22,300 किलोग्राम ऑफ फ्यूल फॉर दिस जर्नी, और पायलट्स और टेक्नीशियंस ने इसको जाने दिया था बाय फिलिंग 22,300 पाउंड्स एंड नॉट किलोग्राम्स. क्योंकि एक पाउंड आधा किलोग्राम का होता है, इस कारण से जो कैलकुलेशन मिस्टेक हुई थी उसकी वजह से प्लेन में आधा ही फ्यूल भरा गया था जो कि उसे जरूरत थी इनिशियली, और जिसकी वजह से पियर्सन का जो फ्लाइट कंप्यूटर था इट टोल्ड हिम ही हैड प्लेंटी ऑफ फ्यूल. उनकी स्टार्टिंग फिगर ही जो थी वही फ्यूल की रॉन्ग थी. पहले के दशकों में ये जो फ्लाइट इंजीनियर होता था उसका ये काम होता था कि ये फ्यूल के बारे में कैलकुलेशन करे, और इस एक्सीडेंट के बाद जो सबके दिमाग में सवाल घूम रहा था वो ये था कि किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी, जबकि 2 मैन का क्रू ही फ्लाइट क्रू रह गया था इस प्लेन में.
Better training is definitely an issue in an incident such as that. If everyone is trained and the lines are drawn as to who's responsible for what, then there's no ambiguity on it. People know what they're responsible for. In this case, it was sort of open-ended. We weren't aware who was responsible for the final say on this field stuff.
उसके बाद जो एक सब्सिक्वेंट इंक्वायरी हुई, उसमें ये बात सामने आई कि जो भी पर्सन्स इन्वॉल्व थे उस दिन इस प्लेन के साथ, दे हैड नो आइडिया ऑफ कैलकुलेटिंग द मैट्रिक सिस्टम. वो मैट्रिक सिस्टम के यूज टू थे ही नहीं, चाहे वो कोई हो, पायलट्स हो या ग्राउंड टेक्नीशियन हो, कोई भी इस दिन इन्वॉल्व जो था वो मैट्रिक सिस्टम से नॉलेज में था.
I had not received any, neither of us had received any training at all on doing these calculations.
एयर कनाडा की फ्लाइट 143 में जो कंप्यूटर था बोइंग 767 में, जिसने की फ्लाइट इंजीनियर की जगह ले ली थी, that was broken and nobody knew who was responsible for doing this job. Flight 143 was essentially down a man.
And the goal is to prevent a recurrence of this particular event. And also, we also find out other systems that might have been either at fault or maybe they could cause a problem in the future. And you do try to prevent recurrence.
All right.
It took a string of mechanical and human failure जिसके कारण ये फ्लाइट 143 जो थी, it ran out of fuel in mid-air. But another failure that day would have saved some lives. If the nose gear of the plane hadn't collapsed, it would have taken Pearson a much longer time to stop the plane. The plane would have slipped into the people who were around there. और इसका परिणाम बहुत भयंकर हो सकता था. और अगर ऐसा हो जाता तो बहुत लोगों को चोटें आती या कईयों की जान भी चली जाती. Pearson and Quintal were half blamed for their role that day. जो गवर्नमेंट की इंक्वायरी हुई थी इस हादसे में, उसके मुताबिक एयर कनाडा को अपने स्टाफ को और पायलट्स और ग्राउंड टेक्नीशियंस को ज्यादा ट्रेनिंग देनी चाहिए थी इन डीलिंग विद द मैट्रिक सिस्टम. और उसने ये भी आदेश दिया कि एयरलाइन जो थी वो ज्यादा पार्ट्स रखे अपने बैकअप के लिए, जैसे कि उस दिन जो था डिजिटल फ्यूल गेजेस जो थे काम ही नहीं कर रहे थे उसे. रिक डियान जो है 2003 में रिटायर हुए आफ्टर हैविंग अ वेरी सक्सेसफुल करियर एज अ कोऑर्डिनेटर फॉर मेंटेनेंस कंट्रोल्स. मॉरिस किंटल वाज प्रमोटेड टू अ कैप्टन इन 1989. कैप्टन बॉब पियर्सन जो थे अगले 10 साल तक प्लेन उड़ाते रहे एयर कनाडा के लिए, और उनकी जो इंसिडेंट था, ये गिमली वाला इंसिडेंट जो था, इसकी वजह से उनका काफी आउटलुक चेंज हुआ था एज अ कमर्शियल पायलट.
This experience affected me mostly by making me more relaxed as a pilot, giving me the feeling that as much as I've trained for all those years, that there's always that question about how you're going to perform when the chips are down, and I now have the feeling that no matter what, as long as an aircraft stay together, I would get it safely back on the ground. And so it's been a relaxing experience.
It's the knowledge that you know under stress you can perform. Before that, you don't know. You just hope you will, and you train for it, but you never know.
With the things that they had to deal with was magnificent. I think that got proven in the simulator in Vancouver. They tried out this same circumstances with several crews, and they all crashed.
Probably the most important thing that came out of it was a realization that when something new is introduced, special attention and training needs to be accomplished for people to be aware what they're dealing with.
When we had landed and the airplane was all in one piece, I thought, wow, I got another chance to fly again.
because of a tragedy like that, once you take your deck of cards and fire it in the air, you're truly free. And I guess from that point of view, Gimli could, I find it very difficult to say, but Gimli was maybe almost the best thing that ever happened to me, next to meeting my wonderful wife and marrying her.
इस इंसिडेंट के 2 दिन बाद ही एयर कनाडा का फ्लाइट 767 Boeing 767 was back in the air and it was flying to Winnipeg for repairs. वो प्लेन 25 सालों तक उसके बाद उड़ता रहा और it still carries passengers, और नाम जो उसका बॉब पियर्सन ने दिया था उसे वही स्टक कर गया, जो नाम था गिमली ग्लाइडर। तो दोस्तों, इसी के साथ खत्म होता है हमारा आज का एपिसोड, आपके फेवरेट शो दुर्घटनाएं डिजास्टर्स का। ये शो जो आप सुन रहे थे और हर हफ्ते सुनते हैं आपके फेवरेट इंटरनेट रेडियो स्टेशन रेडियो उड़ान पे, जो कि है अ फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ। और आज के शो में हमने चर्चा करी थी एयर कनाडा की फ्लाइट 143 के बारे में, जिसको की उपनाम दिया गया था गिमली ग्लाइडर। अगर आपको मेरे शो के रिगार्ड्स कोई फीडबैक देना हो तो आप रेडियो उड़ान की वेबसाइट, जो कि www.radioudan.com है, वहां पे जाके फीडबैक फॉर्म भर सकते हैं, और या कि यू कैन सेंड मी अ मेल। माय मेल आईडी इज bhamri.r@gmail.com, यानी कि BHAMBRI.r@gmail.com। तो दीजिए इजाजत मुझे, यानी कि आपके दोस्त आपके होस्ट भामरी को समेटने की आज का शो। मिलूंगा मैं आपसे अगले हफ्ते ठीक इसी दिन, ठीक इसी समय और ठीक इसी इंटरनेट रेडियो स्टेशन रेडियो उड़ान पे, और करेंगे हम उस आने वाले शो में चर्चा किसी नई दुर्घटना, किसी नई डिजास्टर्स की। तो नमस्कार, शुभ रात्रि, शब्बा खैर, गुड नाइट, गॉड ब्लेस।